Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Smite Draft League Week 3 here. Divine Division, Stormcallers, and Flourish going head-to-head. I'm Deelo, joined here by KingFsher himself. KingFsher, man, how we feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Excited to get into this game. Haven't been here in a while, and excited to get back into the swing of the normal season. And already two really fun teams to watch, so really can't complain.
This is the one that hits close to all of our hearts, but mine especially, man. These were my top two picks for reasons of both love of the name and the franchise, and of course, love of our former caster, leading the charge here for Flourish, Cosmic Warrior, up against Chiron and the Stormcallers. It's going to be tough to see, honestly, either of these teams go down, but I'm really looking forward to the game ahead of us.
Of course, obviously, two players very near and dear to the SDL here, going head to head, which is exciting. I think they scrimmaged in the preseason, and we saw a game of that, and that was a fun one to watch as well. So really interested to see what they're going to do here, and no surprise, even though got a recent nerf, Martika is still extremely strong. Do not want that going to Huntor in the mid lane, who's already proved this season can play just about anything at a really, really high level.
A lot of these gods that are sitting at the top of the meta did receive small nerfs, but didn't really receive any changes enough to the point where people are not looking to ban them out. And there's another example right there, the Kali being taken off on the side of the Flourish.
Yeah, they were all very, very small nerfs. I think Kali was just the percent scaling on the ultimate went from 10 to 5. I mean, like, it's maybe enough to make you second guess it, but right, it's not enough to say, wow, this character's bad now. Still obviously very ban-worthy. And on the other side, a character that hasn't really seen a buff or nerf for a while, but Baba Yaga still incredibly popular in this season.
Unassuming as far as the high-res devs not deciding to take a look at her, but also unassuming in the damage she deals. The way those abilities can kind of just sneak past, but chunk your health. Certainly a good threat. Once again, just premier meta picks. This patch truly has not done too much to change everyone's mind when it comes to priority picks. But what's left on the table here?
I think the one that jumps out to me immediately, I don't know if we're going to see it because it's another god that saw one of those small nerfs. Both Ravana and Thor, normally you see at least one of those banned out. I'd love to see Flourish pick up the Ravana. I think any team that gets that top locked can do really well, but instead they're going to go with Sun Wukong. Another pick, I think kind of like the Baba Yaga, just kind of sneakily good in this meta right now.
Yeah, oftentimes when I've seen that Ravana be locked in, it's oftentimes a Sun Wukong to match, but Flourish going to opt to have a bit more confidence. Have to imagine it's going to Terminator. And honestly, I was about to say, I've seen Chiron put in work on this god. It can get immensely tanky, very difficult to kill. He's in fact had game-winning plays off the back of this god.
Yeah, and if anyone remembers from season 1 or 2, I'm a huge iTerminatorr fan. I think they're really, really strong in the solo lane. Getting them on that Sun Wukong, an aggressive pick is good. But on the flip side, look what you give up to get that. You don't get the Ravana, you don't get the Thor. Those are two extremely good assassins in the hands of two very capable players. That's already looking like a really difficult draft to come back from.
I always slightly date myself whenever someone mentions that Ravana's an assassin. I'm like, what are you talking about? But yes, he is indeed one of those, but can still be played, of course, with that hybrid. And I honestly hope to see Chiron specking in a bit more of those protections to ensure he can remain a solid front liner. But it's exactly as you predicted, the two picks that were left on the board go right into Stormcaller's pockets. Flourish going to counter that with a Tsukiyomi. What are our thoughts on that?
A little odd. We don't see a whole ton of Tsukiyomi. I definitely don't think it's a bad pick, but I don't know if they really needed to prioritize something like that. There's still good mids available. There's still good hunters. Tsukiyomi doesn't really strike me as a god that's going to see a ban, unless it's a specific round 2 ban. You know it's going to be targeted against, I'd assume, Royal in the jungle. But it's not a bad pick, and neither is a Morgan Le Fay, so there might be better options, but it's definitely not bad on the side of Flourish.
Absolutely. So they're locking in a lot of their damage dealers here. Morgan Le Fay is certainly a bit more of a high priority, and this is going to be scary. We had some word up from iNooblet that this is something to watch out for. OLK on Terra can run a clinic, and now it's going to be once again firmly put on the Stormcaller's side.
Just about anybody on Terra is already going to be really scary to go into, but if you put it on someone like OLK, who I believe played it every single time in week 2, I don't know how that one gets through picks and bans. I guess they did pick it before Wave 2, which is normally where we see those target bans. But healers are still in a good place. Terra always pretty strong in pretty much every meta, so that's already a really good pick going over to Stormcallers, and that is about as good of a top 3 as we've seen all year.
And now on both sides, a lot of focus, you have to imagine, is going to be focused on that duo lane. Indeed, Khepri and Rom going to be banned out. Both sides lacking a carry. Who's left on the table to look at for that role?
There's always a lot of different ADCs that can work. I think Hachimon's still pretty big in the meta. The picks like Cernunnos, Ishar, we don't really see banned out a whole ton anymore, but I think can certainly still get the job done. Even the safe picks like Charybdis, which still isn't terribly common. There's so many ADCs right now that do so many things so well that you think those have to be target bans towards GettinCawky, and there we see it. It's a Hachimon to, I believe, no one's surprise.
Sadly. I mean, no one's surprised, but to my chagrin, Hachiman gonna go the way of Stormcallers, just gonna firmly set themselves as top tier meta picks, and hey, you can't complain about that, even if you don't like the god itself. Flourish did make a very solid, a very wise ban in taking X-Ball off the map. The X-Ball 4 combination, that global presence between Darkest of Nights and the Anvil of Dawn, very potent combination. So wise of them to do so. They're gonna try to counter that pressure with something of their own, the On Her.
On her, a really good pick, one that we haven't mentioned, but one of the most aggressive ADCs you can possibly have in lane. Hachimon's definitely going to have a rough time kind of getting control of that lane. You can see them really start to spiral away, poking out with Eagle Eye. They clear the way very well. Going to be difficult to do against an On Her. So much potential to where if you misstep as GettinCawky, you're pretty much dead unless you use the beads in the mounted archery. This On Her is going to have a really good time in lane as long as they don't get camped or something by the Thor.
This is interesting. Okay, so we have a very aggressive pick to keep in line with the theme you mentioned in the Kuzenbo. If, like you said, if you take a step out of line, sumo slammed, impaled, you're dead. On the reverse side, Stormcaller is going to lock in the Zeus. Is this just thematic consistency? What does this bring to the table?
I think with Zeus, it's a whole ton of burst damage, and of course, in the ultimate, you got pretty good area control. You don't want to step into that field, not only from the damage the ultimate does to you, but of course, Zeus just able to call down a Thunderbolt, deal half your HP if you're a backliner, if you even step foot within that. It's a lot of damage, and it should slot very, very well into that Flourish draft.
Hopefully gonna see it be put into good action here, but enough with the P's and B's, let's get right into the G, the game. We'll see you in just a moment. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Smite Draft League Divine Division. Week 3, Flourish versus Stormcallers. I'm Deelo, once again joined by KingFsher, and just comp for comp, how we feeling about this matchup?
I do really like both of the comps, although it's kind of hard for me to get past. I think I said it on the desk. The initial 3 there from the Stormcallers being Ravana, Thor, Terra, that's so difficult to get past, even when you add in a Hachiman and a Zeus who you know are going to bring the damage. It's a good draft from Flourish, but I don't know if it's going to be able to really go against the one from Stormcallers.
And in game 1, it's oftentimes when you see those meta picks, who just play straight, play clean. So Stormcallers have a very simple game plan laid out ahead of them. Flourish have to, I feel like, almost play smarter, not harder here, because they have a bit more unconventionality on their team. What's just, in general, their game plan to success, looking at how their gods operate?
I think getting early leads and keeping them when you look at, as a big plug on a OLK, but a good stun by GettinCawky. Already a lot of duo lane action. Wouldn't expect anything less from these 4 picks.
I mean, you saw some solid body blocks there coming in from Waaav. You saw some just good basics, and that spells some good fortune for you in the future if they can keep up that pressure, especially on a god like this Zeus, who's going to be, you can only imagine, the apple of everyone's eye, has to expend the beads already just a minute in, but nonetheless going to make Cosmic Warrior pay for that. We'll take the beads if we can take your life in compensation. Gonna make it a double kill there. Voltcha gonna pick it on up.
Doesn't matter what nerfs, Thor is still Thor, a great double kill from the Stormcallers jungler early on. You have to be careful, Flourish were at a level disadvantage, I think, on both gods going into that fight. Had the health advantage, but that extra ability paying absolute dividends. Really good combo there by Voltcha to secure both those kills.
I mean, that's just really not what you want to see. If Flourish is trying to put on some early pressure, certainly not going to go their way in that form. So return back to what we were talking about there, Fisher. Who do you think is their wild card that enables Flourish to succeed? To flourish, if you will.
Oh, I love what you did there. I mean, for me, it's got to be the one we're looking at right now. Sun Wukong could get off to a lead. Chiron dropping low and dropping to the grave. Terminator finds a kill. 1 kill now for Flourish. But Sun Wukong, an extremely aggressive solo laner, and especially going against the Robin, we know how much that pick can do from in front. For me, that is the god that is going to make or break this late game for Flourish, depending on how well they're able to kind of transition into that late game.
And Royalty, unfortunately, going to have to expend that beads as well. A lot of relics going early into this game, but does manage to get to safety. Sun Wukong, an interesting god. Sometimes I feel like when those rotations come in, can contribute not as much because of the lack of on-demand CC, but you get ahead a little bit, you start to get really tanky, very evasive. It can be immensely frustrating to play against. With that in mind, do you decide as Voltcha now to afford some pressure back to the solo lane, or do you just have faith in Chiron to lead by example?
It has to be a little bit of a mixed bag. I think you would never really lose confidence, especially in Chiron or the Ravana, if you're Voltcha, but maybe trying to get that Sun Wukong out of position, doesn't have beads, can maybe be caught out a little bit easier. If Chiron's able to force out the Somersault Cloud, could definitely be a good target, and especially when this Flourish duo lane not stepping up very far at all makes them really difficult to gank.
For sure, and hopefully going to have some vision afforded to match that fact, but not seeing too much of it. We are seeing Huntor put under pressure once again. Cosmic trying to make a bit of a comeback here after that unfortunate first death. The Morgan Le Fay Zeus matchup, I mean, neither are the most mobile gods in the game, but at least Morgan Le Fay has to her name the consuming power, so she can speed away. Huntor's got to really play, I'd imagine, positionally to maintain their life.
Now Chiron's trying to get aggressive onto Terminator, gonna force the Somersault Cloud and just have to walk away. And maybe that Thor might be looking towards the solo lane more. But it's like you said, neither of those gods really have much mobility, but Morgan Le Fay certainly a lot of self-peel.
And that could come in handy, just knock them off away if they decide to get into your headspace. I mean, certainly going to be useful when the Thor tries to land on you, but you need a bit more than that to make sure your life remains in your hands. Waaav on this Kuzenbo, I think, is an interesting pick. We've seen what efficient Kuzenbos are able to put on as they, in kind with their comp, try to take aggression to the purple buff. Not going to be afforded to them. Already been dropped. And you have some options with the Sumo Slam of who to target. You could, of course, go for the easy access. Whoever's on the front line, just push them back. They're going to be right next to you. Or do you decide to try to make riskier plays? Move to the back, as we see. That's exactly what the members of Stormcallers are going to do on a Cosmic Warrior. Has to use consuming power for safety, but 2 ultimates down, and the life will remain safe with the mid laner here on the left side. Gank being put on by Flourish, and that one's going to be successful. Royalty going to pick up the kill onto OHK. Solid work by Flourish. Stormcallers, unfortunately, didn't quite have the successful gank there. Sumo Slam, just as I said, going to put this time on the carry, but didn't quite have the distance to make anything happen of it. Returning to my question, my friend, who are you aiming for with those Sumo Slams to get them into your team?
I'd say it's going to depend a lot on what the jungler and solo are able to do, but ideally you want to be going for something like the Zeus, who really doesn't have an escape, not going to be able to get out. Even something like the Ravana, if they're playing too far up, really doesn't have a whole ton of escape tools, just some survivability, any of those kind of less mobile picks. If you do anything to the Thor, they get out easy. If you do anything to the Hachi, they just ride away on the horse. So there are definitely some targets that Kuzenbo is going to be looking for primarily.
And now they're looking for Voltcha a little bit. Royalty's getting solid with this aggression here. Voltcha gonna have to expend those beads for safety, but Piercing Moonlight can't evade that, my friend. Earth and Fury going to match it, but the Standing Stones really won't stand for much, besides just watching the death of Voltcha. The scoreboard at 5 minutes in, about to be 6, reads 3-2 in Flourish's favor, and a minor gold lead to their name as well.
And after a not so well start to the mid lane, they're losing 2 players almost just a little bit over a minute in. Probably not how they would expected this start to go if you're on the side of Stormcallers. Dropping 3 in a row never feels too fun, but they're only down 500 gold. It's certainly not out of the woods yet. All the XP looking very even as well.
Yeah, they absolutely, 6 minutes in, nothing's going to be decided at this point. I think a lot of the pressure has been on these jungles, as you can see right here, to try to just make a lot happen. And they've certainly been obliging. Voltcha going to take to the skies. FullOfShrimp might not be full of life in just a moment if the landing zone is appropriate. Gonna land just ahead of them to deny him a potential exit, and GettinCawky going to get the kill on a FullOfShrimp. Solid work there by the jungle and the carry.
Good gank there by Stormcallers, had 4 people moving into that area, and the discipline there from FullOfShrimp not to try to ult beads, knew they weren't going to make it out of that one alive, and I think wisely just takes a death without using any utility. Now Terminator dropping low again, still has the ult, so Chiron not really going in for the kill just yet.
Both of these gods can be such lane bullies, and you do still have Terminator with the level lead thanks to those ganks that we saw earlier. So despite looking worse for wear and health, is overall winning the lane. The question is, what do you do with that lead, considering the matchups we have? Do we rotate over, try to find some kills on this very vulnerable Zeus, or do we try to maintain that and just stick to farm that?
It comes down a lot to the team dynamics and what you're able to do with those kills if you gank. I mean, we saw the kill over onto Honor in the left-hand side, and surprisingly, Stormcallers didn't elect to step towards a Gold Fury, just went for a buff invade. If they plan to play kind of more conservative like that, I definitely like to see them stick to farming. But this is the team that really knows how to push it when they're ahead. They can make a lot happen off of those kills if they get them.
We're not seeing a lot happen, unfortunately, for Voltcha. Just kind of been ambling around the jungle, but has an opportunity here. Cosmic Warrior, though, recognizing that, gonna have to bead the wall. I thought he was on the wrong side of it, but manages to slip through. Maybe a little fake Phantom Shell there in his pocket. Solid job there by Cosmic to have the awareness to get out. But you might need some more words for that exact purpose there, my friend. Had a very long one in the solo lane, but the mid lane looking a bit vulnerable for that reason. But also vulnerable are the 2 carries, duking it out. Ultimate expended by GettinCawky, but not going to quite finish the job. Meanwhile, Lightning Storm being put on the heads of Flourish. Watery Grave going to knock him back, but Royalty wants no part of this fight. Never mind. Get a Piercing Moonlight right into the midst of 2. Earth and Fury to give them back some heals. Waaav, unfortunately, going to be the first to fall. Cosmic Warrior couldn't quite finish off OHK. And that's going to be 1 support down. The other one with a sliver of health. Can Terminator do much to finish it? Not quite. Hasta la vista. Terra still remains alive.
They lose 1, nearly 3 there, but really good coordination by the Flourish team. Waaav sacrificed himself, saving the team. Good comms as well, telling Royal, buy yourself some time, get into the Piercing Moonlight, and sure enough, manages to survive with that Kuzenbo rotating over. Good job making it so they didn't lose more, but still taking that fight around the mid-Harpies. I think they kind of chose that fight. Maybe in the future going to be a little bit more wary of the Thor and the Zeus combination is a really, really scary one.
It's just going to be really rough on the positioning. You, of course, want to stay behind your front line. You want to stay by your Kuzenbo for those nice sumo slam engagements on Hunter. But at the same time, you're also doing your opponent's job for them. You're lining up for these amazing double taps. You're lining up for the Berserker's Barrage. Cosmic Warrior might be serving himself on a silver platter. So the question is, how do we position in this scenario where it seems like it's a double-edged sword? Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I think what they have to do for at least until they start grouping as a team, they have to just play it really, really carefully. Both the solo laner and the jungle for Flourish are full engaged. There is no peel on either one of those characters unless you count a stun that you might hit onto a diving Thor. This Kuzenbo is really going to be forced to play very, very passively until kind of the whole team is there and the whole team is able to hit that W button at the same time. That might need to be all over the map. Again, the solo laners brawling. There's been a lot of that for a really kind of, as far as solo lanes go, boring lane this game.
Sun Wukong and Ravana are both gods that afford themselves so much safety, but Chiron doesn't have quite too much mana, so maybe going to see some damage put on with that shield. It's potent. Earth and Fury and a Lightning Storm dropped on a Cosmic Warrior, once again using consuming power, defensively, but offensively as well. The mids trade their lives. No one can really say they got the better hand of that. Waaav just going to take his aggression out on these 3 Archer minions.
Those Archer minions going to be feeling it. Now, Royalty and Voltcha dancing around each other. I don't know if one ever saw the other. Now Tsukiyomi's on left with Kuzenbo dropping low in mid. Kuzenbo escapes, but now Tsukiyomi looking for the gank onto the Hachi.
Solid engagement there on a GettinCawky. Could be in trouble, but does, of course, have the mounted archery to escape. But to follow it right on up, has the Piercing Moonlight, the Shuriken. Not quite enough damage. The minions will finish him off. That's what you get for Waaav killing those others. FullOfShrimp gonna pick it up, but might be dropped down thanks to Voltcha. Fantastic rotation of Stormcallers jungle.
And Voltcha now probably very, very thankful that they didn't see him over there by the Gold Fury. Able to get the cleanup. And maybe a little bit of miscommunication there from Flourish. I was just praising it on the right-hand side, but it looked like FullOfShrimp didn't know Royalty was going to die of that tower. I'd imagine the Honor would have been there quicker, maybe could have gotten out alive. Regardless, though, they do get the Hachimon down for the time being, and in my book, even if you lose 2, it's always a win to make sure Hachi really doesn't get alive with anything.
Yeah, 2-1 is the Hachi versus the Onher's 1-2, though. It's still not feeling great, sitting at the top of the player damage charts alongside the Zeus. Must be said, I was a doubter of Huntor's Zeus just because that god's so vulnerable, but they're doing a solid job with it. Now, here 12 minutes, we have the Stygian Beacon opening up. What can you do with it? Once again, lining up for these double taps and these lightning storms. Royalty gonna be feeling the pain. Waaav has to run for his life. Chiron on the follow-up, and the Watery Grave's not gonna do too much with the Dragonflight. Terminator trying to tank and spank with what he can. Voltcha underneath a bit of pressure. Chiron might be going in a bit too deep. Solid fear and FullOfShrimp gonna finish off the kill. The turtle was too tantalizing, but he's going to fall in trade. Terminator now just making sure to pull off some good zoning duties here. And the pressure that Stormcallers afforded on the beacon is slowly being reversed. Cosmic Warriors got to be careful. Had to expend beads against a Terra. Does not feel good. It's not going to feel good if Thor lands on your head top once again. Voltcha with the killing spree onto Royalty. FullOfShrimp can try to do some more damage with those basics, but that double tap is looking scary. Once again, Stormcallers reclaim the throne, that being the beacon. Seems that it will be going their way. Terminator really can't do much about it. Just has to hang around to clear out some minions and amble off, exiting stage right.
They get the initial man advantage, but you cannot feel confident with health bars that low going against a full HP Thor. It's almost never going to work out for you in Voltcha. Miraculously for Flourish, it only finds 1 on the re-engage. But even so, a 1-for-1 trade, you put up a fight, the beacon. I definitely don't hate that if I'm Flourish. And if anything, maybe you just learn, okay, next time, this is where we have to pull off. We know we can't compete past this point. And you don't really lose a whole ton off of that play. So I think probably a little bit more of a tactical play from Flourish than really a beneficial one.
Here at 13 minutes into the game, about to be 14, ticking in, and 6-8 reads the scoreboard. Stormcallers up 2, up a small margin of gold as well. Nothing too scary though. But just as the game begins to tick into those teamfight phases, do we think that Stormcallers naturally benefits more from that, or is this where Flourish steps into their prime?
I honestly think it's a little bit of both, because for Flourish, I think we talked about earlier when discussing the Kuzenbo and how they need to play, we were mentioning how important it is for all 5 to be together, for Terminator and Royal to make enough space for Waaav to do work, their backline to do damage. They need to be grouped up. On the flip side, when Stormcallers is grouped up, I really don't know what much they're going to be able to do. It's a really scary team comp, and they've taken precautions. Huntor picking up the Breastplate of Determination, or Breastplate of Valor, rather, there in the mid lane, already prepared for the dive. This Stormcallers team is going to be ready. Flourish definitely have an uphill climb.
Yeah, interesting to see. I mean, makes sense. Try to patch the weaknesses of your god. Why not use some armor? So good job there on the Zeus, trying to make sure he stays alive. Pyromancer, not going to be alive for too much longer. Flourish going to make away with a solid objective for their name, recognizing Stormcallers just had kind of slackened the leash for a bit too long. Thor going to try to tighten it up a little bit as they prepare to land on a FullOfShrimp. A bit off the mark though, my friend. The wall as well. Desert's Fury not going to be enough to actually deny Voltcha his pickings. FullOfShrimp will go down once again.
Good job there by Team Flourish to get that Pyromancer down, but on the flip side, if you're the Honor, you need to be ready for that gank. You know your team isn't close, and they only have 1 ward there over on the left-hand side, and it's a little bit shallow for my liking. Still, though, against a Thor, there's not much you can do. Use the ultimate, nearly got out of it. Thor missed the dunk, missed the wall. I don't think there's really too much FullOfShrimp could have done there to save themselves, but maybe cautious play in the future, and Flourish rotate fast enough where Stormcallers now cannot get this Gold Fury, so the objective is going to stay at 1-0 now for Flourish.
Stormcallers at least going to grab a tier 1 tower for themselves as well. They're feeling pretty solid about that. And it's just looking a bit rough because, like you said, when Stormcallers groups up, I'm just worried about the comp alone. When they dive into you, it's going to be so difficult to deal with. GettinCawky, getting called out here by Royalty. Solid body blocks, just poking him a little bit with Ningetsu and the other one. I forget what they're both called. And the Caltrops not going to be enough to finish him off. Royalty now caught out lacking. Unsafe pathing, my friend. No, not going to be good for you. FullOfShrimp might also be falling alongside him. bopped once again by the Thor. Double kill for Voltcha. He's absolutely slaughtering it. Waaav just gonna look back real quick. Buddy, you should just be running. That's 4 members strong, and they're gonna catch you out around the back. Chiron just gonna opt to walk around the turtle. He's a fish we can fry later. Terminator as well, lurking here. They know that Stormcallers knows that they know that they want this Gold Fury, but what can they do about it? Terminator maybe sticking around a bit too long for his own good. 4-man collapse. Can't take to the cloud if you're dead, buddy. Voltcha gonna grab themselves a 3rd kill of the engagement. Cosmic Warrior, again, unfortunately having to use the consuming power for defensive purposes, and that makes this steal attempt going from low chances to nada. That's going to be an easy Fury there for Stormcallers, just continuing to dominate this lead.
And I like Flourish being competitive. I like the thought of them showing up for that, but you also have to realize in a 5v3, or 3v5 rather, from their point of view, there's no way you're going to win that fight straight up. Stormcallers are even in XP, they were near even in gold. That's been a 3,000 gold swing in almost a minute thanks to that early gank over there on the top left. There's just not many things you can do as Flourish to win that fight over maybe hoping Cosmic can hit something long range with the Morrigan ult. Definitely would have liked to see them pull back from that one a little bit sooner, because now Stormcallers, they have double the kills, they have a 5,000 gold lead. They're now firmly in control of this game.
And it's what you mentioned earlier that I think is such a detriment of the idea behind this. Because, as Chiron makes an attempt to steal, does not quite get it. Once they enter your space, they don't have any self-peel. That is coming on demand. FullOfShrimp, uh-oh. Don't get caught lazy backing, friend. Gonna have to use a dispersed mounted archery as well as the Anvil of Dawn. They recognize this is an easy opportunity for a nice and clean kill onto the Lion. Going to deny the impale with the Berserker's Barrage. Fantastic awareness of your abilities and what perks come along with it. Chiron's being ganked here, but this does not seem like an absolute inevitability at all. Chiron can just tank this all. Look at him. He doesn't care. He's going to high-five them real quick on his way out. Keep pushing him into the minions. I really doubt they can kill the Ravana as easily as they might imagine. Not to their credit, though. They're going to definitely try. Some solid juke shoes. Bastion's going to fall. Will the Ravana as well. It's taking a while, but hey, at first you don't succeed. Bastion with a cudgel again and again. Terminator going to find it finally. Voltcha's made the rotation, but hey, the damage has been done. I will eat my words and my shorts. Excellent job to Flourish. Persistence pays off.
Good job there by Flourish getting the return kill. I don't think Chiron was really expecting that damage. Used all their mana to try and clear the archers there. Had the ult up. Could have maybe jumped away if they didn't do that. Probably just not ready. And Terminator's not ready either. Voltcha getting all the damage. Anvil of Dawn up into the air. No Somersault Cloud means Sun Wukong won't be locked for this world. But the Thor misses and a great stun.
Out of the 17 transformations, you're not going to be escaping this time, my friend. Bastion going to block him for a little bit longer, but in the meantime, mid lane, Cosmic and Waaav both go down. Hold on, this Duel of the Ages is actually going in Terminator's favor. He wins it. Shut down on the Thor. Fantastic play around your shape-shifting powers. Knocks him up for the tower shot. Big assist there from the structures. Stormcallers going to look for a Pyromancer just to, ease their guilty conscience as their jungle unfortunately falls. But nonetheless, I'm honestly not sure who wins out on it. It seems that Stormcallers, with this objective, nonetheless got the edge of the global engagements.
Call it a lucky play or call it a great play, but Terminator lives through that. Voltcha just a tiny bit off with an ability or two. It's going to mean that the Sun Wukong gets out alive. Now we're seeing the solo lane start to heat up. I think they're really making me regret that. This is a boring lane comment I made earlier in the game. They're all feeling it over here. Terminator and Chiron battling it out again. But neither of those two can really get a huge advantage without a gank from the jungler. The lane's kind of out of their hands at this point.
I don't know, bro. Apparently support is all you need as well. I was very surprised by the damage numbers they're able to put on. Do have royalty here, though, but I can't imagine with Chiron's positioning, they're going to be able to make much happen of it. They're going to try to wrap. Doesn't seem it's going to be quite successful. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Chiron taking some interesting pathing. Might get blocked out, but Royalty's not quite aware of it. This could be an interesting engagement. Here's going to be the stun onto Royalty. The B's not going to help you if the wall's right there, my friend. Mystic Rush where his corpse was, and that's just going to be a bit of insult to the dead there. And they're going to be able to grab a nice kill thanks to Voltcha's rotation. Terminator sticking around, wants to grab this blue buff, but the damage this Thor outputs is no joke, and your tier 1 tower is very far away, so better be careful, my friend. You don't have the assistance you might think. Cosmic's trying to step up, but in the meantime, how much damage can Terminator tolerate? Gonna have to take to the cloud, says, I'll be back, and may be dropping down on them in just a moment. Cosmic gonna opt to return back to his red buff, but meanwhile, Stormcallers here trying to pick up this Fury. FullOfShrimp is around, does indeed have... No, does not have the ultimate. This could actually be really troublesome. They managed to grab it. Stormcallers indeed do. Primal Fury goes their way as well. Overall, the objectives have been spelling Stormcallers. 5,000 gold lead now, 21 minutes in. And the pressure just keeps on coming. FsHer, what can they do to stop this on the side of Flourish?
It's going to have to be a team fight. Stormcallers are doing extremely well. They're doing a nice job with the objectives, too. We've really yet to see Flourish group up as a strong five, where Stormcallers have been rotating in big numbers. Except for maybe Chiron or Voltcha occasionally being away from the team, I really think the positioning here on Stormcallers has favored them immensely this game. And around this Fire Giant is where we're going to kind of see a lot of that really come to fruition. The Titans marching down the lane is still 3 or 4 minutes out, and that's kind of recently the first time we see teams really group up as one.
It's an issue for Flourish because you mentioned earlier, and I think you're correct, that Terminator is their saving grace, rocking 3-1, doing the best, having the only level lead on his opposition. But you're only 1 level ahead. And on the flip side, who I think the hope of Stormcallers has been Voltcha, the MVP. He's 3 levels ahead, far bigger of a difference, and Royalty's gonna find out right now, having the just absolute molly-whopping of damage dropped onto his head top. That's going to be another kill there, put in the pocket of the Thor, thanks to a nice rotation from Huntor as well. Did expend the beads there, despite not being in any danger. Voltcha's just really bloodthirsty at this point, and has his sights now set on the iTerminatorr. Could be in some trouble here, but aggression's mainly on the blue buff, and Voltcha just can seemingly move around this map with impunity.
Yeah, nothing can really slow the Thor down right now. 11-2, doing what they need to, but now Terminator might be caught out on the right side of the map. Team nowhere to be found, and 4 members from Stormcallers. Sun Wukong not going to be along for this world.
At least has a bit of chance to ponder his life and what's meant to him in the sky, but Shape of the Falcon as well, going to ensure some easy escapage there. As long as you have those 2 abilities in pocket, it's very difficult to lock someone down. You can really make so much distance between yourself, but who is he left behind? His friend, the Tier 1 tower. After all he did for you against Voltcha, I can't believe you, Terminator. Messed up. GettinCawky, facing up against 2 here, and has to use Mounted Archer to retreat, but never mind. Opts not to, but then instantly drops Aegis. He's stalling for time, because Thor is taken to the sky. A brilliant double stun, but what can you make of it? Waves down. GettinCawky might fall in just a second. The Desert Fury does catch up to him, but now it's Voltcha up against FullOfShrimp, and Voltcha's not having the health to spare. Gonna be a stun to escape? No, the beats to match, and a nice double kill for the On-Her. But who do you walk into in this dark alley? It's going to be 2 members of Stormcallers. FullOfShrimp is gonna try to put some more damage numbers on the board before falling to Huntor.
Good fight there from Stormcallers. It's a 2-for-3, so maybe don't get the best out of that. But, you know, a win's a win. Stormcallers are going to take it. Now they do have 3 alive versus only 2 here from Flourish. It's a solo and jungler. They're pinging the Pyromancer. Have to think that's on the table now. And Flourish can't even try to contest. They're far too spread out for it.
It's only 25 minutes in. The gold gap has actually closed a little bit, about 4,000 now, but the kills certainly are still going Stormcallers' way. 10-20 here. They've doubled up on the numbies here. 25 minutes coming in. The Stygian Beacon might be another point of contention, but given how sometimes teams decide not to prioritize it, does Flourish use it as an excuse to fight, or do we just let it go?
It's really difficult to say. I'd imagine at this point, with the state the game's in, we've already seen Stormcallers have a lead. It's not the biggest we've seen at 25 minutes into a game, but we've talked about their team comp, we've talked about the team. Any misstep could be costly, and Royal might have just made one.
He already used the Piercing Moonlight. Both ultimates expended on the side of Stormcallers, but they only need basics and gumption to take you down. There goes the jungler for 50 seconds. Or actually, Flourish deciding to try to step to this beacon, do succeed in grabbing it, but there's no tier 1 tower to retreat to. Cosmic Warrior once again using consuming power defensively, but to great success. Does retain his health bar, decent numbers. Waaav gonna step up, but that does leave something open. That's gonna be the Pyromancer Stormcallers has their eyes on at this point. Will they contest this as well? Already have the beacon. Will this be too greedy of an attempt? Terminator stooping out the scene, has the cudgel to try to secure it. Flourish, indeed they do! Terminator is crazy, but there's no tier 1 tower for you this time, my friend. He is unfortunately fallen in combat, and Waaav might be doing the same. Huntor, as well as the other members of Stormcallers, absolutely surrounding and destroying the turtle. Going to be solid and put a bit more in their pocket to just maybe relieve the sting of losing that Pyromancer. Terminator's back. This guy's an absolute party pooper. Anytime Stormcaller is trying to do an objective, he says, no, 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 not today. But Voltcha's not happy about that designation. Gonna try to put him in his place, put him into the ground. But Terminator says, I prefer the sky, actually. And he's gonna try to wait out and find the perfect opportunity. Can they get it? Not quite. Stormcallers do secure the FG. Tries to charge forward to take down OLKxHardKiller. Does not succeed. The only one getting killed is Cosmic Warrior. And now taking on to the fight, Royalty gonna try to make quick work of the Terra, but the Earth and Fury gonna give her the heals necessary to allow her team to do the damage. There goes the jungler as well. 3 members down on the side of Flourish, and a Fire Giant for Stormcallers. Everything's coming up their side.
I love the steal attempt from Terminator. Do not love the other 2 members of Flourish falling down. I mean, that was a rough fight to take if you're trying to 5v5 that. I definitely think the play would have just been let the Sun Wukong go in, see what they can do. If they die, they die. But instead, Royal tried to pick up another kill, and Cosmic didn't have the Kuzenbo close enough to assist, or the Onher for that matter. And now they're in trouble. They have 2 alive against a Titan and 5 members. If I'm Stormcallers, this is an easy Phoenix call, and you're considering the Titan.
I mean, you have FullOfShrimp here, who's been a very large thorn on their side. Terminator's back up, can tank this Titan, and you're just going to have to use that as a distraction, it seems, on the side of Stormcallers. There's still many tier 2s up, unfortunately, so they can't afford to grab any more birds for themselves. Strip the jungle, find what we can, and just make our way back with Golden Pocket.
Yeah, they're going to grab that Primal Fury for hopefully no contention, and I think this now kind of raises the issue of they have the Fire Giant, they have a Phoenix down. When do they hit the go button? There's still a few towers up, and of course the Titan health scales with the health of the towers, Phoenix is remaining. So they're probably going to want to look to get at least one of the side lanes down. But they have about 2 minutes to do that with, and it's always a question of, is it going to be something last minute, or do we have it now, do we push now? Royal might be pushed up too far, gets a red buff, might not get out alive though.
I mean, you don't have good escape tools on this god to do much about it. Gonna be brought down quickly by Voltcha. You just can't be up there. They have FG. I understand you're trying to get yourself some farm where it's desperately needed. It makes sense in that sense, but given the current context of the game, just not where you want to be.
Not where you want to be at all, and now Stormcallers pushing down pretty aggressively into mid. They're going to be joined now by Chiron just teleporting in, and the Onher might be caught out here in left lane, stuck between the tier 2 tower and the Phoenix. No, okay, is going to start it. Onher might escape into the jungle though.
Solid pathing. Your tower is not safety at this point. You cannot call safe. This is no longer a game of tag. You have to find your way to the Phoenix a different way. And guarding that, the troll under the bridge is going to be Chiron. But luckily you have the disperse in your pocket to get yourself to safety. Only Royalty down for this fight, but still a 5v4. And Stormcallers have Fire Giant. All the damage necessary. FullOfShrimp has to retreat, has to use the Aegis. And that's just going to be a light up green go, go, go sign there for the Zeus to just put damage on top of their heads. But in the backline, it's Terminator just absolutely causing as much havoc as possible. Royalty, like a gnat, buzzing around the 3 members remaining. FullOfShrimp gets a kill onto Chiron. OLKxHardKiller manages to survive this engagement. Solid stun there to save some damage on Royalty, but it will still be detonated. Does he enter the fight once again is the question. Caltrop's gonna do some solid numbers for himself, but FullOfShrimp will fall, and Huntor will live. Voltcha gonna find double kill there onto Terminator as well as Royalty. The fight's been flipped for a second time in this engagement. Cosmic needs to choose those sword splashes carefully because you're only gonna get 1 kill out of it. Deicide there, triple kill for Voltcha. Thor is going crazy. The members of Stormcallers going to walk into the midst of the throne room. It seems that thematic consistency wins the day like a bolt from on high. Zeus, Thor, the gods of lightning, they've set their sights on the Titan and they're going to grab it. Game 1, easy pickings here for Stormcallers. Thematic consistency, man. I'm telling you, there's something that comes with it. They give you like 15 extra power on your items or something when it happens, because Zeus, not conventional, worked beautifully. Talk to me, Fisher. What happened?
Just a solid game all around from Stormcallers. Zeus especially had a lot of damage. And I think I mentioned it on the desk. We've seen Hunter on just about everything. You can go ahead and add one more god into that pool that needs to be banned out.
Yep.
And the Zeus did damage too. Nearly the top in the lobby. Barely. Just beat out by that Thor. But top to bottom, it's a clean game from Stormcallers, and it's consistent. They were ahead nearly the entire time. Flourish maybe had a little bit in the beginning where they were holding even. But I'll tell you where the problem is. If you look at the KDA column and you go over to Voltcha's name, 19-3 is not a kill death you can allow to happen and still win a game.
Definitely not. I mean, it's both a good and a bad thing that I feel like, at least from my perspective, this game was kind of won and lost in the P's and B's phase. That's a good thing, of course, because it means that you have the tools next game to very easily change things around, make it a better story for Flourish. On the bad side, of course, you kind of got mollywopped a little bit there by some of these top line picks. Now you know where to center your attentions. Get that Thor off the map, I say.
For sure. The Thor has to go. It's not the greatest stat line from the Ravana at 1-4, but Chiron did an excellent job zoning, was always there for the team. I'd certainly recommend probably a Ravana ban unless they plan on picking that up for themselves. And yeah, I don't know if it was necessarily lost in the pick phase, but it was won for Stormcallers, if that makes any sense.
Yes, I
'Cause
agree with you. I'll take that one.
Yeah. And
Let's talk about some good on the side of Flourish. Terminator. My God, Sun Wukong might be what they need to ban out because that god's been so frustrating for them to deal with. Just was very evasive when you thought you had a kill in your pocket. Nope. Joke's on you. You're dead, actually. And was doing a great job leading the initiations. Honestly, was setting up as if he was the support.
oh yeah, Terminator did a great job, a really good job on the Sun Wukong. I think consistently throughout the solo lane, didn't really see them have the opportunity to get grouped up, see what they could do in those late game team fights as much, which is unfortunate to see, but certainly did good. And it's like we said on the desk, I don't think that was necessarily a Flourish misstep from that draft, but I'd still like to see them change some things. I think for starters, I don't really want to see Waaav on the Kuzumbo again. I don't think they did bad necessarily, but with the rest of the comp they had, really didn't have the right draft for Kuzumbo to shine
I agree.
through.
I think they need more setup, and there's going to be an instant respect ban. I always agree with this. It's always smart play. Don't let your ego be the thing that gets you the L. You want to make sure you're respecting your opponent when they play well, and that's just what they're doing. So good play there by Flourish. So let's talk about the options here. Their comp's game plan was kind of just do damage, but they didn't necessarily have the setup there, and I think the Kuzumbo was a big part of that. What maybe support god are we looking into next time for Flourish for this draft?
There's a lot you could really look at, and especially there's one that got banned out last game that I always love, a Yamoja. Can certainly engage with the River's Rebuke, has a ton of peel. But I'd say it's more about kind of balancing, because if you're going to have Terminator and Royal kind of go those really aggressive picks again, like they did in Game 1, I don't really think that was a problem, but the backliners weren't able to do anything. I mean, you had Cosmic at 2 and 6, the Honor had 7 deaths. If you're going to do something like that, you just need Waaav on a very passive support. So I think it's going to be more up to what are Terminator and Royal trying to do that's really going to determine how they're going to play that role.
I'm trying to figure out what Flourish is trying to do. They ban out what's undoubtedly their saving grace of game one in Sun Wukong. They have first pick, so they must have confidence in a different game plan for what they're going to prioritize, because they did prioritize in pick one, the Sun Wukong last time, and now it might be the tier. Interesting change up, but they're still centering all focus onto Terminator.
And I think that might be a smart move. Terminator is certainly a very good solo laner, but even like last game had a great game, but Chiron still did very well out of the solo lane, and I'll be the one that pointed out they didn't ban the Ravana. If I was Stormcallers, I really wouldn't think about it. Robin maybe didn't excel last game, but it was good. And just the pick that god is, you really can't go wrong with it. Batir is a good pick, has a lot of CC in that kit, and now can kind of help fulfill that role that maybe Waaav had a hard time doing last game. Tier can be very aggressive, also can peel the heck out of your backline if you need him to.
So provides some good aspects on both the offensive and defensive categories. Looking forward to seeing some good, hopefully, Blink Fearlesses to bring members back to your damage core to just finish them off like scraps. But on the reverse side here, taking some time to consider it, Stormcallers is not quite sure how they want to meet it. Last time, they had a very easy, streamlined plan. Was take the top two picked gods in the meta for right now, but Now, with that Thor eliminated, they're not sure if they have the confidence to move into it.
And they might be thinking more about that jungle pick, because as good as the rest of the team did, Voltcha last game, 19-3, incredible game, top player damage. It's hard to recreate that on many gods, especially with the Thor banned out. There's so much global presence, can do anything all over the map. And the Neja Hover, if it was most other teams, I'd say immediately that's a jungle, but not taking it out of Hunter's plans to play it in the mid lane. We've seen Neja in support. I still think Neja probably best in the jungle, but really kind of adds a lot of utility to that team comp. They're now kind of going to be able to keep Flourish really guessing on what they're doing.
Utility is the name of the game with that, right? And when you first pick that, you are kind of revealing your hand a little bit that you are playing for the team. You can pick up those 1v1 engagements with Najab, but you certainly benefit from setting up someone else who's got some big damage that requires easy facilitation, easy placement. I know you're landing right here. So hopefully going to see that follow with the rest of their draft. But here's one thing that I'm certainly happy to see follow. It's the Terra once again.
Terra certainly good pick there from OLK. Had a really good game one. This is now going to be, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, their 5th game playing Terra in a row. Better hope they like it, don't get burnt out. And like you said, you need that big damage to kind of set up for that Neja, considering now I'd expect it to go to the jungle. If it's not a Scylla or a Ra, or maybe a Thoth, I'm going to be upset. I mean, those abilities are so crushing, especially when you know there's no way of missing it. It has to be the pick. But on the other side, I like the Discordia here from Cosmic, going to get some easy damage out. I do not love the Ares hover.
I do. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's go, Ares! Boo! Let's go. That's awesome. That's so sick. I am a huge fan of Ares. All right, let me give you my devil's advocate, and then of course you're welcome to give your counterpoints, my friend. I love Ares here because Golden Apple, you have immediate synergy in trying to group everyone up for massive team fight damage with that 2-man core alone. Group them up for Fearlesses to just continue the CC chain. Let them put down their controllers, put down their keyboards. They're no longer playing the game. Fisher, talk to me about maybe the opposite side. What are the weaknesses here that you present here with the Ares?
I mean, everything you said is correct. Can group up really well for Discordia. I also like Ares as a god. I think he's extremely fun to play. I'm gonna just point out one simple thing. There's no peel. We talked about it in game 1 with the Kuzumbo.
Okay.
You know Tira's going to want to play aggressive.
Okay.
There's no peel for the backline. Discordia, not the most mobile mage in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love the combo. I certainly think it can still work, but they're going to need to build on what we saw last game, because last game they kind of had a similar ideology going into it, and it's one that can work. It's one we've seen performed well before, but you have to be on top of it if they're going to get it right this game and push it to game number 3.
So that is very fair point. My counter to your counterpoint is oftentimes we saw Cosmic using that consuming power as their primary means of escape. This time, he has a bit of an easier ability. He can hit that key a bit more often. Erratic behavior, sure, it's not the most distance off a dash, but it gets you some. And that's better than having to use your ultimate, your trump card, for that exact same purpose. But this is a weakness to look for. We need to make sure that they're positioning well enough that you don't need that extra peel coming here from the Guardian. Locking in on the side of the Stormcaller is going to be an X-Ball this time. Don't have the Thor to pair up with it, but still an efficient god.
We did see the X-Ball banned out in game number 1, so maybe as well as being kind of a, hey, you don't want Thor to do that, it also could just be a pick that GettinCawky likes. Taking it in the top. Oh, please lock it in. If it's a chalk on Stormcallers, that's just going to make my year. It's the mascot.
Dude, they love thematic consistency. I genuinely think they actually are vibing with this. Their team mascot, come on, bring it to us. Let's go. You move like a jaguar. Ugh. And they have the rising jaguar. Thematic consistency once again. Chiron's brilliant. Brilliant.
See, now all we need to see is the Wheelix, and it's just cycle complete riding the jaguar. And just get absolutely everything with the voice line, everything with the tagline. Probably not likely looking at the rest of their draft, but can't really count it out. And on the flip side, Ratatoskr and Giannis, not very normal bans at all. Those have to be target bans. I don't really think there's another great way to justify that. Now a Chernobog lock-in. It's been a while since I've seen Chernobog. But a very safe god, and we see FullOfShrimp have a few troubles with ganks last game, so assuming that's going to the ADC, I do really like that pick.
Yeah, it's in line with what we mentioned, right? If you're not going to have the natural peel from the Ares, okay, I have my own means to get out of this fight without needing my support to have some intervention. Da Ji, though, is going to be the final pick there, and that's an interesting one. Talk to me about what she provides this team.
I mean, the one thing I'd be focused on, especially with the tier and the Ares, is beads burning, really for all three of them, and the way they're able to combo. It's
That's true.
the dashes from tier and the ults from Ares and Daji. It's not like a debatable thing like, oh, you get pulled, you might live. You have to beat that, or you're not going to survive. It's pretty much as simple as that. And I think into that comp as Daji, you're going to find a ton of value, assuming Ares is, I believe, going to play aggressively, going to find a lot of beads, going to be able to get off a lot of damage very easily. And on the flip side, it's exactly what we wanted to see. The big damage ability. It's not a Mayan, but it is Scylla, one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game.
I'm so happy with everything I'm seeing here. Like, this is a lot of fun. I think the essential motto right now of Flourish is chains and whips excite me, because that's exactly what they've got going on right now. So gonna be interesting to see that little tribute to Rihanna and how it all pans out. But I'm really happy that they actually locked in the Scylla on the side of Stormcallers. Man, I don't even have anything more to say. Let's get right into game 2, see how it all pans out. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Smite Draft League. Stormcallers have one up on them and the power of thematic consistency on their side. Flourish trying to mount the epic comeback against them. I'm Deelo, joined here by KingFsher. What do we need to watch out for in terms of how this game's going to go?
I'd say it's kind of similar dangers to game 1 for Flourish, because their comp, it's all, I believe, all 5 different gods, but it's still pretty similar style, I think, where, they need to get aggressive, they need to be the team kind of forcing all the fights. And it's difficult to do that against the Stormcallers roster, but, I mean, before it gets misconstrued, I like that they're going back to that. It shows a ton of confidence. I'd love to see them pull it off. But it's a lot easier said than done, especially going into maybe not as oppressive as a draft, but still a really, really good team comp there from the Stormcallers.
It's a very clear vision to execute on the side of Flourish and Stormcallers both. Immense setup, beads burning galore. You need to make sure you're picking your targets wisely and keeping a bead on those bead timers.
Keep a bead on the bead timers might be the best sentence said in SEL history. Gonna have to go down in the record books for sure. And yeah, there's a ton of CC and only 3 pairs of beads. I'm really shocked that we don't see maybe a Terra going with the beads or a Chalk. I guess Chalk does have a really, really big CC immunal, so maybe not nearly as big of an issue for Chiron, but even somebody as tanky as a Terra can get absolutely burst down by this team comp. Okay, maybe can't play as aggressively as they did in game 1, because they went for a lot of aggressive routes on that Terra.
Speaking of aggression, you're going to need some to kill any member of this here solo lane. So much heals, but the rain dance has already been expended, and Chiron doing his own little dance right now, trying to juke back and forth. It's the classic tale of having the axe. You have to choose to follow the chalk, or do I follow where the chalk will be? Unfortunately, not going to matter because he's going to get away. Waaav looking to be underneath a bit of pressure here from Voltcha, but doesn't have the mana, or maybe just the will to continue that fight. Going to opt for the shield buff instead.
I still kind of haven't gotten over the fact that there's a Chalk. I think Chalk is such a fun solo laner. Really good. I mean, the damage mitigation out the door, free mana whenever you hit autos, such a good god. But already starting to get camped. iTerminatorr pushed all the way up to the tower line, nearly just died from the gank on the Dashi. As good as that character can be at times, you got to be really careful, because all your tools to clear the wave is how you escape. So needs to be careful, needs to have a lot of wards on that right-hand side of the map.
I'm looking for Royalty to really think about his positioning this time. Like with the Tsukiyomi, your means of getting out of a fight are oftentimes reliant on your enemies itself. Piercing Moonlight gets you to your enemy, and so does her port. Sure, if you got an ally nearby, it's going to be good for you, but if you're caught lacking by the red buff when they all have FG again, it's not going to be a pretty tale. So hopefully Royalty going to make some safer farming decisions, but still manage to put themselves up against this Naja.
Staying up against a Naja, not very easy. Staying up against Voltcha, maybe a bit harder. Royal nearly dying over there to the blue buff.
And having to really consider what just happened there. They're going to pause it as well. We'll be right back at the desk in just a second. He's grateful for his life. He was like, oh, hold on, guys. We gotta chill. That was way too close. All right, so let's talk about just in general. We haven't seen too much action here, but what we did see last game we can use as a bit of a template. Once again, we have some solo laners that are just going to be whacking each other without any intervention. Do we bring it like we saw in game one?
Do you mean like in terms of ganking, like they did in
Yes.
game one?
Do we just dogpile on Chiron?
I I would say if you're royal, absolutely. Once you know Chalk has that utility down, I don't remember the timer off the top of my head, but it's at least I think 8 seconds. You have a long, long time to gank them.
Well, luckily we don't have a long time to get back into this game. Gonna have to see if that prediction comes to pass. We'll be right back. And we're back. Hope you didn't miss us. But Hunter, having to miss that sentry. Hopefully not going to miss these chains, but out of range, out of mind. Huntor going to also have to use the ultimate to ensure his safety there from the Powwow. And Chiron going to pick up a nice kill on a Terminator. Seems that indeed Fisher has his C2 pants on, because a lot of attention being afforded here by the Stormcallers to the solo lane. It's going to be a first blood there for the Naja. Or Chalk. Whoops.
Ooh. Wasn't on the team I was expecting, but you know, getting a kill onto the solo lane always feels good. Especially from Stormcallers, maybe a bit of their reverse mental, like now the Chalk has some space to work with. Royal doesn't though, Voltcha dashing in, low on mana, leading them right towards mid lane though, Daji very wisely gonna walk away.
Yeah, that was a bit of indecision. I'm pretty sure at first was like, okay, he sashed me, he's got something up the sleeve. Then saw the mana bar, then saw the friends about to come, and was like, okay, I'm good. Nice job there by Royalty, doing exactly as I was hoping. Some more safe positioning to maintain your life. But Royalty now going to show some face here in the solo lane. But Terminator's already kind of given up the chase. Can't do too much. That tower shot's going to take a decent chunk out of you. And Terminator's going to opt wisely, I think, to not Lawbringer into the tower willy-nilly. Okay,
Oh,
never
but
mind.
he's
Why
gonna
not
go to the
willy-nilly just
blue
lock
buff.
into the blue buff instead? But there's a rotation coming here from Huntor, and that's troublesome. You already have one of your big escape tools used. Not going to even grab the steal for yourself. That doesn't feel good. A lot of resources expended to that end, but at least can tiptoe your way around the tower. Ambush, though. Watch out, buddy. Not going to quite hit the cleave there. Maybe you're going to just have to opt for damaging these minions instead. They stand a bit more still. It's a little bit easier. I liked the attempt there from Terminator. Didn't quite work out, though.
It was risky too. I mean, Voltcha was very, very close in that jungle, but no one really wants to mess with the tier, no matter what stage of the game it is, can be really kind of hazardous for the health. So I think probably does a wise thing in just letting them walk away. Now Cosmic under significantly less pressure than they were last game. Maybe because of the Discordia dash, but uh-oh, Chalk still feeling it over there and right. Waaav gets a chain, does not get the damage.
So close, so close. And this is the pairing that we saw was able to bring down Chiron in game one. So trying to repeat the history didn't quite work out this time for you, but I'm liking these chains. Already I'm seeing some more damage being provided from that than the sumo slam, but some damage gonna be provided on your head top. Nice juke of the I'm a monster. Shell the match, but not gonna be necessary, because at this point they've already lost their call for the fight. Entering it now is Voltcha, though. Gonna look for the backline. Royalty, in a bit of trouble, has to expend the Powwow. Going to grab the chain onto Voltcha, but he's gonna beats to match. Unruly Magic, will it bounce around in the right combination to find him? Ricochet is not gonna get it, but Royalty's teleport will. Nice kill there onto Voltcha. No 19-3 there for you this time, they say. Trying to keep this jungler in the dirt.
Well, no, not to be the one to point it out, 19-3 though, still possible from Voltcha. It just needs to go 19-2.
Very true.
Significantly harder though. Those deaths were really spaced out last time. I think there was like what, one at 5, one at 11, one at some other point, like really consistently getting about 5. So maybe just needs to pick up 10 this time. Is now FullOfShrimp, GettinCawky over onto GettinCawky over there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this Trinabog lines up. I think this is definitely the wild card, like you said. Haven't seen this god in so long. Provides you safety, but against an X-Ball who can also kind of follow you, Rising Jaguar covers so much space. Do you just play it safe, or do you try to enter these 1v1 fights, or maybe even a 2v1 with the help of Waaav, because he's making a rotation on over, as well as the Daji. They're trying to just not let X-Ball move like a Jaguar one bit, and with those chains can succeed to that effect, but you need other members to do some damage before he can Rising Jaguar on out. Will indeed do so. Unfortunately, a bit too much time wasted. Other members of Flourish hadn't quite gotten to Waav's stepping point, so they couldn't get the damage on when the chains were attached. Now, wrap around here from Stormcallers to answer, but they're a bit separated. Voltcha gonna just go to the tower, help out, GettinCawky with those minions. And only one remaining standing, Royalty. That positioning is not looking the best, though, my friend. I think you need to make your way out of this fight. Gonna enter in, though, is Voltcha with a nice sash. Taking him up to the sky. Can't pull him down, though, quite, because he was still in the air. Now the Earth and Fury. Royalty going to enter the powwow. Ultimates on ultimates being expended. Who's made the rotation? It's Cosmic. Big Apple there. Gonna grab the jungle, but the other jungle's picked up there by OLKxHardKiller. In the end, it's a 1-for-1 trade. A lot of time spent, a lot of ultimates wasted, or used for good effect. But nonetheless, the end result is the same. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
I don't know if either team feels great about that fight coming out of it. A very messy one, but both walk away with the kill, both onto the jungler, so it's hard to imagine anyone's feeling bad about it. And what a shot, threading the needle from Voltcha. Waaav got so close to body blocking that and taking the ultimate from the Neja. Might have been able to swing more if they were able to do that, and Flourish with a really kind of nice gank over there on the left-hand side. I don't know if they initially meant it as a gank, though.
Yeah, it was a bit strange. I mean, you had the engage from Flourish. It just took a bit too long, and unfortunately, GettinCawky, like I said, man, Rising Jaguar, it covers some distance. Terminatorr going to need to cover some of his own if Voltcha decides to amble on over. But nonetheless, they at least get something for their troubles. They clearly have a game plan in mind, though, to try to keep X-Ball down. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it lines up. Royalty having to expend those beads early in this engagement, and now taking up into the sky nonetheless. You need your beads to ride that one. And now, coming down with the Axe Slam, Royalty taken out by Chalk. The mascot of the Stormcallers is making havoc for Flourish. Double kill there on the Terminatorr as well.
Great set of kills there by Chiron. That's sure to get you a lead over the tier. Second time they've fallen. And I believe the first kill went over to Chiron as well, so should be up at least a little bit in XP over there, unless they're getting out farm like crazy. Now this is a point, Beacon's coming up in, what is it, a minute? I think it spawns in at 12 minutes if memory serves. And it's kind of that point where we see the teams start to group up. We talked about it in game one, and how important it was for both these team comps to really fight as 5. And if you're on Flourish, I'm thinking this could be a great litmus test to see kind of how this team is going to merge, because you're going to need every single piece working to win this game.
And we haven't even seen Stormcaller's greatest card to play, which is that I'm a monster off of the Windfire wheel. So they still have some tricks up their sleeves. Flourish, to their credit, still haven't shown the most effective ways their combos can work. But at the same time, I don't know, some of these engagements just haven't been as tight and precise as we want them to be. You have to imagine some solid targeting is going to be necessary. The question is, who do we go for first with those chains?
It's going to be difficult to tell, and Voltcha might be the target. Does have the chains out. Royal trying to chase up out of the powwow.
Chains indeed going to be latched to the powwow right now. Only Voltcha they have their mind on. Seems my question's been answered. Apple on your head. Chernobog teleports in, but right into it. I'm a monster. Solid damage going to take down Royalty, and a bite out of Cosmic Warrior. Goldfury just going to watch from afar as FullOfShrimp gets taken out by GettinCawky. Why are you even spouting the flames, my friend? You need to find your way out. Big 3-man pull, gonna get them off of Cosmic Warrior, but maybe at the brave expense of your own life. Fantastic play from the support. We salute you as he falls to Huntor.
Waaav, for it seems like the 3rd or 4th time in 2 games, sacrificing themselves to get the teammates out alive. Love seeing that as a support. I mean, obviously, you don't want to die yourself, but it's better than having Cosmic fall. Disco does have to use a bead, so going to be really susceptible to ganks here for the next few minutes. But a Gold Fury now for Stormcallers are gonna get the beacon as well. Stormcallers are really kind of turning on the Jets, and now Terminatorr up very deep. Voltcha coming over. Tier might have stepped too far.
I mean, looking at this level lead, it's quite a different story than we saw at game 1, and now Voltcha's wrapping around. He's still around. Just gonna miss though, unfortunately. Just gonna equip the little fiery spear, and the ring also unfortunately gonna be a bit off the mark. Let's see if Chiron's got the big circles to match. Gonna start off with the first one. That one does land. Second big circle does as well, but these 2 solos are gonna be safe for now. What do we think is going to... Oh, hold on a second. I'm gonna have to hold this question as the engagement continues. Waaav wrapping around the back. Chiron underneath a bit of pressure here. And Voltcha just deciding to opt out of this fight. Gonna watch from afar. Lawbringer to match. The question again, do you follow? It's going to be Terminatorr to do so, but the Rain Dance ensuring him a bit of time. It's, again, anytime you want to take down Chiron, it takes way too much time, and you don't even get him in the end, thanks to a fantastic blink.
Job for everyone to escape alive there. Easily could have been worse, but Stormcallers not quite ready to let this one slide. Hunter's over from mid. They have OLK, they have Voltcha. Voltcha still with the Windfire Wheels looking for a target. Not going to take Waaav into the
front
area.
line who's just going to be absolutely mollywopped there. Solid damage onto Waaav, and they do have the ultimate in tow, and they get a big one, but who's there to follow up? Big Apple there. Solid work, but they're not grouped up long enough for the rest to follow. Huntor going to pick up Waaav. Terminator could be next, does not have the Lawbringer anymore. You need more members to group to get your team comp's vision off. Cosmic trying to provide as much damage, as much chaos as he can, but not going to be enough. Royalty is stepping up here. Longest of Nights, though, going to put him in the dark for a bit longer. Stunned down, Aegis expended. He's desperately trying to pursue Huntor. Gonna chain him, but will he kill him? FullOfShrimp gonna oblige. Fantastic job there by the carry. But now Royalty looking to be a bit worse for wear. So is Voltcha. Which jungle will fall first? The bleed is not enough. Royalty going to be bleeding even harder for that. Chiron putting it up. Numbers for this shock. Other members of Flourish still remaining in the fight. This is the damage core, and they have no fight left in them. Going to have to retreat as Waaav begins this Pyromancer call.
I have no idea how there were only like 3 deaths during that entire team fight. Everybody getting in on it. Now Pyro's call dropping low. It's going to be secured by Stormcallers. They steal it away. Pick up the Runic Bomb too. Waaav chasing out on half HP though. Don't love that against a Chalk. A tier 1 and left. Chaotic fight, but Stormcallers now finally at the back end going to come out ahead.
It feels like we're flailing here a little bit, KingFsher. It feels like Flourish, that Pyromancer call, I respect it. Yes, you got some kills there, but you didn't have enough pressure, I feel like, for that. What do they do to maybe, precisely maybe, and less riskily, make some moves in their favor?
It's difficult to say. I mean, like you said, I did like that Pyro take. I think it's definitely not a bad one, but you do want to have something in your pocket to help secure that, whether it's going to be a golden apple. I mean, that's really all they do have to secure it. Uh-oh, Voltcha, though, have to hold that thought, looking for FullOfShrimp, taken up into the air, half HP. X-Ball getting close.
He's moving like a jaguar, but here to defend is the Fox themselves. Put in the darkness, though. Solid damage here with these cuts, but getting cut up himself. Slice and dice. Royalty is going to go down. Other members of Flourish just too slow to the call. Mobility of the Stormcallers coming up big for them.
Stormcallers are staying ahead this game, and the movement is great, and they're going to take another tier 1 tower on top of it. Mid's going to fall. They have left as well. There's a point where he might worry for Flourish, but might have to worry a little bit more. Cosmic going to be the target in mid. Chiron finds 2. I'm a monster. Going to be off the mark.
Going to still find the kill at the very least. You have enough big circles that if one misses, 3 more take its place. So Stormcallers walk away with another solid kill onto the support. It just feels like they're always there a few seconds behind Stormcallers. You saw Waaav bouncing between the jungle, the no man's land, not quite sure which lane to step in. And Stormcallers' decisiveness is granting them a 5k gold lead. It's only going to be further extended here by this Primal Fury. I'm not sure if Flourish has enough in their tank to step up to this one.
I for sure wouldn't. It's going to be a very low chance to steal, especially with the Scylla AoE sitting on it. They're not going to try it. They are grouped up in mid. They see him for the minions. Royalty is low. Cosmic is low. Stormcallers, though, have used a lot of their mobility. They're still going to try to chase it.
I mean, you have the ring bouncers to demoralize them a bit, whack them with that silly little circle. And the only one standing around the FG area, which is where they might be traveling to next, is going to be Terminator. But Terminator in this game, 3-level deficit. What changed for the man? It seems just a complete, absolute mollywhopping on the side of the shock. Is it just the mascot difference?
It very well could be the mascot difference. It started at low levels, though, because after that second kill, Chiron was up 12-9. It's been really consistent since then. We talked about it a little bit in the break and wanting to see the junglers kind of gank the solo laners. And I haven't seen any out-farming really like that. I think it's been those 2 kind of sidesteps there by Voltcha helping Chiron get ahead, and credit to Chiron maintaining the lead without getting too many additional kills onto the tier, doing a great job from ahead.
Shock, just proving why Shock is not only a fun, but efficient god. Play more Shock, everyone. It'll make KingFsher happy. But Flourish needs to have an answer to it, because they spend so much time for peanuts. You saw how much damage they had to try to invest into him, and he still was able to blink away. You got to target someone else, I figure, but who is that?
It's difficult to tell, especially when the team's playing that good. there's so many players you have to shut down, and gonna have to shut down all 5 now. Sticky and Beacon gonna be taken away by Stormcallers. Flourish, I think they learned from the past. They're not gonna try to step up, but we need to see them group up. Tyr needs to get off the blue buff. They need to get Chernabog back. Royal needs to get out of the jungle. They're either gonna make a big push or walk over towards a fire giant. Right now, it's looking like the latter.
And with 3 beads in pocket, and also just the inherent CC immunity that Stormcallers provides, Rising Jaguar, I'm a monster, and you have the Windfire Wheels, you have the Stormcall. There's so many options that the Stormcallers have to negate that at all. Their entire game plan might be turning to rubble, and Waaav gonna try to reverse that. Solid engagement, it hits 4, but again, the CC immunity denies them the option of their game plan. Huntor gonna take down the Ares, and Cosmic Warrior has to exit into the jungle, being pursued by the man with moves like a Jaguar. GettinCawky might catch this lazy backing, and not even lazy, just an attempt to desperately get back to Fountain without being forcibly ejected there. GettinCawky on the killing spree. Royalty is going to have a brief respite from a fight in the powwow. The chains and whips are not that exciting, my friend, in this scenario with this low of health. OLKxHardKiller, though, not quite able to pursue. The shock is a different story. Beads maybe expended a bit on the fritz there, my friend, but at least the Aegis was good for you.
Stormcallers come out ahead in that one. Flourish now. They might be at the beginning of being on the ropes. That tier 1 tower is going to fall in mid lane. They still got some time, though. Fire Giant's still on the map. It's going to be at least another 4 to 5 minutes before Titans go marching down, which is where I think we're really going to see Stormcallers kind of group up and commit to a big push. They lose Pyro, and even though they're behind, if they try to go for fire, they can still walk up to it, and there's a combo. We finally see it.
And hey, we can strike that off the bingo list. I'm happy. We can shut the game off right now, but Terminator, unfortunately, gonna get a big bite taken out of him. That's fantastic coordination, but they haven't even needed it so far, and that's been just the big issue. Hunter's been hitting these raw, and Voltcha's, despite not having necessarily the maximum, most optimal setup following these Windfire Wheels, has been choosing them carefully enough that you normally net 1 kill, no matter what. Royalty might be the next one. This farming, my friend, is not going to benefit you the way you think it might. Sash down, brought down, GettinCawky is getting the kills.
15 now for the Stormcallers. They're in control of this game, and it feels really similar to last game, but they're quickening the pace. They're taking those objectives, they're taking fights much earlier. Stormcallers are trying to put this one away. Oni Fury gathered as well. Maybe you won't have to wait for any of those 2 big objectives. You're getting some good waves. We could see them maybe push down this left or right. Tier 1 in the right lane finally going to fall to Chiron, who now has
They're
a
doing
4
such a
level
great
lead.
job at multitasking. We saw earlier when a Fury was being taken, we saw Chiron securing the Stygian Beacon. Now they're securing another Fury, and Chiron's going to grab himself a tower. He can move wherever he wants. Shock is so difficult to take down. It's difficult. It's difficult because you never want to ignore such a present threat who can just silence all 5 members of your team when you're so ability reliant. But at the same time, if you turn attentions to him, you're just going to get sickened. You're just going to get crushed. What can you do for Flourish to get yourself into the next team fight with a bit more of a firm hand on the wheel?
It has to kind of be man advantage, and it goes against what I've been saying a little bit on how they need to group up when Stormcallers are grouping up. They have to find a kill or 2. There's enough XP deficits there, 4 levels in solo, 1.5 in jungle, 4 in support, to where you're not going to win a 5-on-5 fight. It's just not going to happen. You have to have some kind of advantage going in, and losing the Fire Giant is not an advantage, but it's the card they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, at this point, no one really having long-range secure tools. It's going to be a nice FG, 22 minutes in for Stormcallers. They still have some structures to bite through before they end up getting those juicy birds. So at least you don't have to worry about them arriving at your door quite yet. The Terminator might, because he's already expended his Lawbringer. Beads down as well. The wall won't clap down on you, but these 3 members of Stormcallers certainly will. Don't even need that I'm a monster. All 4 dogs just going to watch the show as Terminator falls to the mascot once again. Now the right side bird being looked at here. Just a few more basics necessary, but a nice apple from long range doesn't quite hit the mark, but at least forces the Red Sea, the red tide of Stormcaller health bars to part just a little bit. Royalty making something good happen on the split push, but your team might need you, my friend, because the bird in the mid lane is also going to fall down as well. Only 1 bird left, and it's a left side tier 2 tower to take down before they can do it, but have to imagine that won't be any problem here for the Stormcallers.
Shouldn't be at all. Phoenix still could be difficult now that the Dodgies rejoin the team. And I don't mind the split push, but if it's for a tier 2 or something, I don't think a tier 2 for a possible Phoenix defense is really a great trade, especially 24 minutes in. But all the same, they have one Phoenix standing, their Titan's still up, and Fire Giant running out in, admittedly, 2.5 minutes. Pretty long time, but they're not out of this one yet. It's not over until it's over.
Absolutely. Flourish has tools here to ensure their defensive nature can maybe pull through here, because they weren't even really able to put up much of a defense in that case. They couldn't showcase their abilities. Talk to me, Fisher, about what defensively this comp provides and how they can play around it.
I think it's what we were talking about on the desk, a lot of the same things as we were commenting for their offense. It has to be their CC. I mean, Chirontonsor, pretty standard on defense. Discordia can certainly sow some chaos with Golden Apple. But, I mean, the pushes from the tier, you can maybe catch somebody out of position with a really good Palau or an Ares pull. There's a lot they can do and can really kind of separate this team fight. We haven't seen it yet. Stormcallers are playing together extremely, extremely well.
Yeah, I just feel like the vision has been kind of constructed piecemeal, or implemented piecemeal. The vision was certainly constructed. I just need to see it brought to fruition here. And for them to do that, they need to group up and, like you said, have an advantage. And this is not advantageous at all. Royalty taking tons of damage. The chain doesn't even matter. The Pridwin shield is going to eat that, and the Darkest of Night's going to follow. The damaging members of Flourish are being picked off like a bad horror movie. Huntor gonna crush Cosmic Warrior, and Axe might be doing the same. The Royalty has to flee the fight, but going back in for a bit indecisive, trying to bait out some more time for his team to arrive, but not to much avail. Chiron's gonna be sitting healthy no matter what. And with the left side tier 2 down, they can just continue to march it into this left side bird. All three foul are hunted down. Stormcallers now have the throne room up for grabs, and with 4 members lurking, but all 5 members of them having FG, it's a bit of a risky prospect. Titan gonna strut their way down. Don't worry, it's not a glitch. She can't go out there, but it's going to be the other form of the Titan. It's a feint. Floor is gonna try to play their last surprise card. She can walk, but not very far, unfortunately. Gonna be returning right back to the throne room. Titan probably not very happy about how long she got to stretch her legs. Her Fitbit is certainly rocking some low numbers. Stormcallers prep to make a second move for it.
Not gonna hit the step goal today. Stormcallers still waiting right at the line. Fire Minions marching in. Oni Fury isn't up. They have 15 seconds on the Fire Giant. It's either they make a push now or they make a push after the FG, and they might be looking for now Huntor with a big AoE.
That's so much damage on a Cosmic. Has to use the apple just to provide yourself a bit of space. Didn't even do that much, though, to Voltcha, who did expend the Windfire wheels, though. Solid setup off this side. But really, all they have to wait for is the massive Siege Juggernaut marching down left side lane. It's going to be at full health, full force with fire minions to boot. And you can see it, a blue wave of just electrical power. The Chaos Titan approaches, and it's the prophet for your doom. Flourish need to buck up and find some kills here before it's too late. But I don't know here. Fisher, this might be the end. It's already marching down left side, sweeping aside minions. And the members of Flourish are split up, not quite sure where to focus their attention. Royalty gonna try to make a move onto GettinCawky, but he's got moves like a Jaguar. Gonna wake his way on out. The chain's not gonna bring in anyone, and the Titan has arrived. The Rock'em Sock'em Robots battle as Terminator tries to finish off GettinCawky. It's not gonna be successful. I'm a monster looking for Terminator, looking for Titan. At the end of the day, as Waaav falls down, Stormcallers had moves like a Jaguar, and Flourish has no moves left to make. Decisive set in favor of Stormcallers. They continue their domination of the division. I believe that is now 3-0 for them.
It is indeed 3 in a row, 3 really good weeks. And before we go any further, have to give credit to Flourish. They stayed in that game a lot longer than I thought they were going to. They did hold Stormcallers at bay for a while on that Phoenix line.
We got to talk about just the comp for comp vision. We saw 2 visions that both were very clear in their flowcharts. It's setup. Make ways for your damage dealers to just pour on the numbers. How do we feel like we came up short on either side, and how do we feel like we succeeded on either side?
I think on the side of Flourish, it's kind of not obvious, but from our standpoint, it's clear where we see they need to improve. I think it a little bit has to do with the early game. I mean, certainly being down to start both the games can't help, but grouping up sooner and making sure they have a team comp they can play from behind. I think if they had a lead in either of these games, they would have done significantly better with the team comps they drafted, with their playstyles, could have absolutely taken the set over, but you need to have the lead in order to do that, and this time it just didn't happen.
Sad to see there, but I like the draft that they built for. I was really enthusiastic about it. I liked seeing the chains come out, but unfortunately the chains and whips were not quite exciting enough. But on the reverse side here, gotta throw some credit to many of the members of both sides. Terminator, despite unfortunately not having maybe the most impressive compared to game 1, was still rocking some solid tanking ability and also causing a lot of fear for GettinCawky there in that final engagement, doing a good job pursuing out the low health members where he could find them. As well as Royalty had some good bead burning ability in combination with Waaav. We saw those two pieces almost clicking together, but it just wasn't quite there enough. On the reverse side, I mean, hey, Voltcha didn't have the 1 and 19, or the 19 and 3 this time. I was correct. But nonetheless, amazing setup by the Najah. Certainly brought what he came for.
Going all sides as a jungler too, you love having somebody that can really perform on any pick you give them, fit into any team comp. Voltcha certainly fits that build, and a lot of the team too. Very different team than we saw from game 1, being able to dominate just as well. I mean, it's very impressive against this team, and if you're going against them, it's a tough time figuring out what you have to do, who you have to ban. Stormcallers having a great start to their season.
Yeah, they really are going to have to just really keep trying to impress us, because at this point, you know that I'm a Stormcallers believer, and they're trying, I'm sure, as Chiron has said many times, to convert the rest. And at this rate, they certainly will succeed at that. But hey, excellent play to both teams here. Thank you all for watching Smite Draft League Week 3 here. Divine Division between Stormcallers and Flourish. I've been Deelo. He's been KingFsher. We had iNooblet up on the cams. Thanks for that, buddy. And we'll catch you all another time. Have a good one, everyone.